Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports Talk. We're your hosts, Jared and TJ. And today, in this video, we're going to get into all the additions and subtractions we made to this team when free agency started Monday. So far, it seems to be more subtractions and additions, as
Yep.
like the first day, like the first 30 minutes of free agency, we cut Calais Campbell to save $7 million, and it was a surprising move, but we knew we were probably going to lose somebody. And ideally, it may not have we wouldn't have wanted it to be him, but that was the case. And Ben Powers wound up signing elsewhere. He signed with the Denver Broncos, 4 years, $52 million, and 28.5 million in guarantees at signing. So good for him. You know, he was I believe he was a fourth round draft pick for us. And Mo Gaba actually was the one who selected. He didn't select him, but he read out on the braille to announce the Ben Powers pick, and I think that's pretty cool. And Mo Gaba always said that Ben Powers was his second favorite besides Lamar, so I think that's a cool story to him. So I'm glad it worked
Yeah.
out. I'm glad he got paid. I wish he got paid by us, but I mean he priced himself out. He gets to play with Sean Payton and them in the Mile High City,
Just like how
and
we
then
said. Yeah.
yep. Oh, we pretty much figured that just because of the way EDC was talking about it.
hmm
It pretty much insinuated that he priced himself out. And like I said, that's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
it leaves a dent in our offensive line, but I think it can be filled. We'll get into that in a minute. Josh Oliver also signs the contract with the Vikings. 3 years, $21 million, $10 million guaranteed, almost 11 million if you can round up, I guess. But I don't know if they round up when it comes to contracts. Um, Again, another one. He was a good blocker for us. Obviously he was. I have a personal gripe with him just because he was the one blocking when Lamar got hurt. Um, but that's neither there. What's the saying? Neither what nor there, or something like that.
Yeah.
I
But I
wanted
just
to
want
say
to
it, but anyway, I'm gonna let you go ahead.
yeah, but I just wanted to interject. I honestly feel like well, Josh first of all, like Josh Oliver's a lucky guy because I feel like that contract was a little bit too much for him.
Mhm,
I feel like he didn't really earn it that much. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like, you know, he was given a really high contract for what he did, basically.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I would have liked to see him do more while he was here, especially in terms of blocking and in terms of receiving too. And I know like receiving wise, it's not all his fault, because Greg Roman probably didn't scheme, plays for him to get the ball a lot. And even when he did, they were just simple drag route plays or probably like slant plays. Like I only remember him having about like what, 10 receptions the whole season or something kind of measly like that. But I'm happy. Like I guess I'm happy for him, but like I said, I feel like he definitely did get lucky with that contract. I feel like it was a little bit high, and
Well,
his
I mean,
production shows.
it's only 7 million a year. Considering it's a 3 or $20 million deal, which I guess is a lot for a possible backup because didn't they trade
Yeah,
for a tight end earlier this last
Hawkinson.
season?
Yeah, they got
Hawkinson, right?
TJ
So,
Hawkinson. Yeah.
I mean, for what we got for him, we traded a 7th round pick to the Jaguars, I believe in 2021 for him.
Mhm.
So I feel like we got enough out of him. I remember, he had a good game versus what's the team? The Jags, but he did drop a few touchdowns. Let's not forget about that. I believe he dropped 1 or 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he made a few good catches this year. I remember he made like two one-handed catches versus the Giants. So that's also something to remember. I think we got just what we expect out of him because I mean at where he was at here, he was most likely like tight end 3 or 4, behind Mark Andrews likely, and maybe Boyle, but Boyle never played, and then maybe Kolar when he came back, but Josh Oliver didn't really do anything. I can understand your viewpoint. He did kind of. I wouldn't say he got overpaid. It's just we'll see what he does there. I don't know what kind of scheme they implement in Minnesota. So maybe, I mean, he'll get more targets, more receptions,
Yeah.
and more of a pass offense, more most likely.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say it definitely seems more offensive, than
Yeah,
our schemes are. So yeah.
right. So and then you never know, they may want to run like the 3 tight end set as well. Like how we did here.
Mhm.
I know they have Hawkinson, they have Oliver now. I don't know if they have a third tight end, but if they do, they can definitely run it. Because Josh Oliver definitely is a good blocker. But anyway, I want to get your opinion about the Calais Campbell release. How do you feel about this? And do you feel that they'll bring him back?
Um, you know, it definitely did kind of surprise me because I do remember him saying how much he loves Baltimore and how he wants to end his career here, and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So it definitely did kind of make me sad. It kind of gave me flashbacks to Anquan Bolden, back in that
yeah,
2013 offseason when he said that he wanted to retire with the Ravens, and then we ended up, trading him like a week later. But um, I do hear that it's the possibility for him to come back, if I guess if the Ravens, you know, are successful in their mission of signing Lamar and there's a little bit of space left in the cap, they could possibly get him back. But honestly, I don't see that happening, I feel like obviously that was to try to sign Lamar, try to create space for Lamar. Same thing with Chuck Clark, who we'll get to later. But yeah, my reaction is I'm kind of sad because I really did like Calais. I feel like he is a monster in the
yeah,
run game and stopping the run game. Very big, especially, he has a big presence when it comes to the field goal kicking. I mean,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I remember he blocked 2 kicks in that Colts
Yeah, the
game.
Colts. No, I think he
Yeah.
blocked. I think he blocked one because I know the kicker was injured, and then he blocked
Yeah.
one versus the Steelers, and
Yeah, okay.
they were both very crucial blocks because I believe in the Colts game it was 25-17, if I
Hmm.
remember correctly, which means if they kick the field goal and make it, it's 28-17, which means we can't have the game tying drive which we had, and the Steelers game pretty much won the game because that would have put him in a position to win the game with the touchdown. I believe that they got late in the game.
Right, right. So yeah, I mean, he's obviously a big presence in the defense and in special teams defense. So, if we get him back, great, but if we can't, he'll surely be missed. I mean, he was just a good locker room presence too, a true leader as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it did kind of disappoint me, but it is what it is. I mean, we're trying to get Lamar, man. So I'm
Yeah.
all for doing whatever we can just to get him back as our QB1, get him in the building, get what he needs done. I'm all for
Yeah.
that.
And then I think we, talked about it the other day because Michael Pierce, another one we'll get into later, did wind up getting restructured. I think that we're using one of the void years. I don't fully understand what that means, but I think it's almost like he took a pay cut, or maybe Gus took a pay cut. One of the two took a pay cut. I think
Gus, yeah.
Gus only took like a $100,000 pay cut, but I mean, he knows his worth here. So but anyway, damn, I like totally lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? Oh, Calais
Um,
Campbell. I like totally lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
what? No, we're talking about
Um,
Michael Pierce.
oh yeah, so I remember in the video, yeah, I'm like I lost my train of thought. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. I'm not feeling very well today. I don't know if you can hear it. I'm a little nasally today, but trying to do the best that I can. Um what we were saying in our last video about Michael Pierce is, we were both in favor of probably getting rid of him and letting Travis Jones eat, Matabike eat, Broderick
Yeah.
Washington eat. And I think this gives them still an opportunity to eat. It's kind of, we expected Calais Campbell to still be here, but we kind of expected Michael Pierce to be gone. But Michael Pierce is still here and Calais Campbell is gone. And he'll most likely go, to a team that is probably contending. Like I expect Campbell to be like, I wouldn't even be surprised if he went to like the Bengals or something, or I don't know if they need him, but maybe like the Chiefs. Imagine him paired up with Chris Jones or whatever. That'd be nasty, especially since the Chiefs did wind up getting rid of Frank Clark, so that's something to think about. I think Clark plays defensive end, and Campbell plays more interior. He was more of the run stuffer for us. He wasn't a pass rusher, but he was a pass rusher back in the day. That's why he's almost close to 100 sacks.
Hmm.
Because early in his career with the Cardinals and then with the Jags, he was, kind of, you know, on the outside, but we needed somebody on the inside because of what Derrick Henry did to us in the playoff game.
Right.
We couldn't let that happen again. But anyway, so Campbell, obviously a surprise, but it had to be done. If you look at the numbers, it had to be done. And even after we released him, we still only had $750,000 in cap space. So we needed to make more moves, which we're going to get to right in a second. But I really do think that this gives a chance for, Matabike, Travis Jones, and
Yeah.
Broderick Washington to develop. Truly, I think they've had enough time to develop under Calais Campbell, who's is a very good leader on this defensive front. The only thing that does suck about it is we lose a leader on the defensive front. Because Calais Campbell is a big, leader on the team. Not even just with vocal wise, but obviously tall wise too.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. But but that's besides the point. But I think in our last video we were also talking about, or it was our last video or our first one. We need like leaders on this team, especially on defense, and I think the Roquan Smith trade proves to even be more crucial because he's going to be more of a leader than he was last year. Because I mean, on the defensive front, you have Washington, Jones, Metabike, Ajabo, most likely, and Adafiowe at this point in time right now, which means that they're all young guys. I think the Metabike is drafted in 20. Ray Broderick Washington was drafted in 20 as well. Maybe
Mhm.
19, but I think it was 2020. And Adafiowe 2021, Ajabo 2022, and Travis Jones also 2022. So
Mhm.
that's something to think about. We have a very young defensive line. And the only thing that I'm worried about is last year when we have lost Calais Campbell, teams have run the ball pretty well on us. And each year he's been with us, we've lost him, either due to injury or COVID. And it's been pretty crucial when we lose him. It shows the big hole he leaves. But the only thing that makes me feel better is the years that he was sick and the years that he wasn't playing. Broderick Washington either wasn't playing or wasn't playing to the level he was playing last year. Travis Jones wasn't even on the team. And then Matabike obviously was probably behind, behind not Matabike. He was behind Calais Campbell and Derek Wolfe at the same time.
Yeah.
So they got to learn from both of them. Obviously, Derek Wolfe was only really here for a year, but 2 years if you consider the year he was out the whole season. But obviously he had his gripes with the Ravens and the way they handled strength and conditioning. But the few guys I do want to talk about with the restructure, Gus Edwards, Kevin Zeitler, and Michael Pierce, like we just said, it saves us $7 million pretty much. So we have $7 million in cap space right now. So we have some breathing room, but it's really not a lot, with
Mhm.
tomorrow, Wednesday. Or I guess when we put this out, it'll be Wednesday. Chuck Clark's trade will officially go through the Jets, and I want to talk about that with you as well. Which means that we'll have 10 million in cap space starting Wednesday, so we can
So
go out and sign, whoever. So I want
so
to
that means that no, I just to say so is that saying that we have 17 million in cap space?
no. So we have 7 million in cap space. With the
Uh-huh.
trade going official, it increases it to $10 million. Not seven. We
Okay.
don't
Oh,
get. We
okay.
don't save $10 million. Like I
Okay.
believe it only saves us probably if doing the math right. It's like he saves us $3 million, which in total would make it $10 million in cap space that we have.
Okay. I got you.
So obviously, I want to get to Chuck Clark in a second, but I want to just bring up another signing. We signed Lamar's cousin, Trayvon Mullen, to a 1-year contract. I mean, there's not really much to talk about here. I believe he played with the Cowboys,
I
and I
think he
believe,
I think he played
but
with I have a feeling that he played with the Raiders and the Cowboys before,
yeah, I
but
think I know the Raiders sounds familiar, but I think I
yeah.
only remember the Cowboys. And
Yeah.
Trayvon Mullen is Lamar Jackson's cousin. So do you want to
Mhm.
give anything on that? Maybe that helps with the negotiation or anything. I doubt it, but I mean, you can give your 2 cents.
Well, I'm not really sure if I have any 2 cents on like the negotiation side of it, but I will say about his play style. I feel like he's a good depth piece in
Yeah.
our secondary, because obviously we're either going to be we might be very thin because we still are unsure about Marcus Peters, if he's going to, maybe resign to a smaller contract or maybe
Mhm.
walk. Um so I feel like he can be a good depth piece. Obviously guys like Brandon Stevens and Geno Geno Stone.
Which you just that's more of a safety.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean, if we're
Well,
talking about cornerbacks, we got like Jalen Armour Davis and Pepe
okay,
Williams.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Brandon Stevens, Jalen Armour Davis, Dave, a lot of times they've struggled. during the seasons. You know, when it comes to those times where we need them, like the Steelers game, like that last drive, Pickens was just tearing up Stevens. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it was just crazy to see. So I feel like in terms of depth and, like a veteran presence, not not so much leadership wise, but abilities wise, I feel like Trayvon Mullen can be, a valuable piece to the Ravens. And, you know,
Right.
maybe I mean, going back to, the cousin thing, I mean, maybe it can add a little bit of chemistry to the
Mhm.
locker room. Maybe it can, but I feel like, that won't be such a big factor. But I
Yeah.
know I am starting to accept, and appreciate the signing for what it is, and that's just a
Yeah.
valuable veteran piece in our secondary.
And I think that one guy we're forgetting in the cornerback room is Daryl Worley.
Yes. Oh
He played a
yes.
great game in the Bengals in the very last game of the season when I don't think Peters was playing or Humphrey. So I think it was I don't remember if both of them weren't playing, but Worley played his ass off in that game. I don't know if that's a big curse word, but he really did.
Right.
He really played his tail off in that game, and I know he made a great recovery play that would have had Jamar Chase wide open for a touchdown. He didn't get burned by Jamar Chase, but Darren Worley had that was really his first game of action, at that point. So for what it was, he did a good job. So
Yeah.
that's another guy to look out for next season. He's fast. He seems to be physical, and I don't know. I guess we'll see coming into 2023.
And
Before go
also
ahead.
just I'm sorry, just to interject about Daryl Worley. I mean, he can only get better
Yep.
from what he was in the 2022 season. I definitely did see a lot of great things from him from that Bengals game. He had that one, let that one touchdown to Chase, like how we
Right.
mentioned, but I mean, he was just all over the field. He was here, he was there. I mean, he was everywhere on the field. And
Yep.
I really appreciated that. His awareness, you can tell, is there. He has the instincts. It can only go up for him from now on. Like
Yep.
I'm really excited to see what he brings to our secondary as well.
And before we get into free agent wide receivers and trade candidates for receivers, because obviously that's probably the biggest point of emphasis besides, defensive front and,
Hmm.
left guard. Um, I do want to ask, how do you feel about this Chuck Clark trade that we got a seventh round pick for the Jets?
Ah, I'm like
Take
congested a
just
lot.
take a sip of water. Take a sip of water. I can give my thoughts while you take a sip of water. Um,
Um, yeah,
for me, the Chuck Clark trade, I think we talked about it in the last video as well. We expected it to happen. It happened. I think we may have overvalued him. Knowing that he was such a crucial part to the defense. Heart wise. Um, so I think that me and you probably said like maybe get a third, fourth round pick for him. We only got a seventh, and I think maybe it had to do with we wanted to free up cap space. So it needed to be done. Whether we wanted a third round pick or not. I don't think we had time to negotiate very much. It happened, and then we just needed to take whatever they were giving us. I mean, at least
Mhm.
in my eyes. But obviously, I wouldn't consider a big loss just because Kyle Hamilton, all he can do now is grow. But
Yeah, yeah.
obviously it does, weigh a little heavy because he took over Tony Jefferson's spot when Tony Jefferson did get hurt. And Chuck Clark played pretty well from 2019 to 2020.
Hmm.
And I think he played like every single snap in 2022. But again, we talked about it. He had bricks for hands. If he was the wide receiver, if he was a wide receiver for us, he'd probably fit right in with the brick hands he has. Yeah. But in all seriousness though, like it felt like he was always there and was always close to making a play, but never seemed to make it. He was a hard
Yeah.
hitter though, for when he did get, into the open field. I remember like one play on 2021. I think he cracks like freaking what's the guy's name? Deontay Johnson on the sideline.
Hmm.
Even this year, I think he hit T. Higgins, really hard as well near the sideline. He likes hitting people in their sidelines,
Hmm.
especially division rivals. So but yeah, I think Kyle Hamilton has a great chance to develop into one of the elite safeties in the NFL because, like we said in the last video, an elite safety in the NFL is kind of hard to come by nowadays. So I kind of want your opinions on that too.
Yeah, and I remember, kind of earlier in your montage when you were talking, you kind of said overvalued Chuck Clark in a
Yeah.
way. And I totally agree with that because we were kind of put in like a tough situation, obviously in the off season of 2020 when Earl Thomas was getting into trouble and we just had to let him go. When it
Yep.
comes to nonsense, the Ravens don't play around. So, we were kind of in a tough situation on, okay, who's going to fill Earl Thomas's position? And, it kind of it kind of reminds me of those memes where it's like, mom, I want this. But it's like, okay, oh, we
Yeah.
have this at home.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, we didn't really kind of patch up the safety position in terms of talent, like what Earl Thomas brought, but we sort of, put out a homegrown product out there.
Yeah.
And, that's why I kind of really agree with you when you said that we overvalued him because it's kind of like we were forced to throw him out there,
Yeah.
and while he was, like I said, he did do a lot of good things. He was a hard hitter,
Mhm.
very like cerebral player, like I said in our previous videos. You know, one of the main things of safety is having good hands. I mean, that's what made Ed Reed so special. That's what made Troy so special.
Yep.
You know,
They can
it's what
make the
made
plays when
right,
the plays need to be made, you know?
right. Brian Dawkins. I mean, Sean Taylor. The list can go on and on. That's what made those guys so special. They had all of the attributes, especially the hands. And so, like I said, I appreciate Chuck's time here, but I feel like it was needed. Definitely will free up cap space. So yeah,
$3 million, it gets 10.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah,
we need the
yeah,
cap space, and obviously we have. It's not like we just got rid of them and don't have a replacement. We have Kyle Hamilton and Marcus
yes.
Williams, who is a very underrated safety in this league,
Hmm.
especially his ball hawking skills. I think if he
Oh
played
yeah.
the whole season last year, we're talking about 7, 8, 9, maybe double-digit interceptions the way he
Yeah,
was
like
playing.
Trayvon Diggs. Yeah, he would have been
Yeah,
like
something
Trayvon
like
Diggs.
that. And then Marcus Williams doesn't give up a lot of big plays as well. So, um,
Mhm.
I always dream about a Marcus Williams, Earl Thomas, team up. But Earl Thomas was, I don't know if he still would have been here at 2023 time, because I don't remember what his contract was. I think it was only 4 years, which
Yeah,
would have put him only at, well, I think this year would have been the last year of his contract, and he was getting older anyway. But
yeah, he was
he
in his
wanted to,
30s. Yeah,
yeah, he wanted to become, a GTA criminal. So I think that,
he wanted to be
he,
AB.
yeah, I know he wanted. It's gonna be an all pro line. Actually, let's not get into that right now.
Okay.
But anyway, for free agents, I have a list here of wide receivers. Um, Juju Smith Schuster, OBJ, DJ Shark, Adam Thielen, and Miko Hardman of possible. You're still laughing about what I say.
No, I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing because you said DJ DJ Shark. But anyways,
Well,
go.
I mean, it's not. Is it DJ Chark or Shark?
I think it's Chark. I think it's
It's
Chark.
Chark. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. DJ Chark. Okay. So out of these guys, I'll give my input first, and then I'll get to, actually no, I want your input first. Out of these guys that I just mentioned, free agent wide receivers, and there's more, but most got signed already. Like Alan Lazard got signed, Jacoby Myers got signed. But out of this list, who would you want on the Ravens next year? Like saying that we have the cap space for multiple ones or just one.
I mean, I feel like I really want OBJ. I feel like when he's really healthy and when he's on the field, he still can be just as good as he was from 2015 to 2016.
Yep.
I mean, arguably he was going to win the Super Bowl MVP had he played the whole Super Bowl.
Oh, he's
When
balling.
the
Yeah.
Rams, yeah, when the Rams went against the Bengals. So I feel like I would definitely want to take OBJ. Um, I remember earlier we were talking about some other guys. I brought up guys like Corey Davis, Brandon Cooks, maybe a Chris Godwin, if the Bucks would be willing to trade for him because I saw that they restructured Russell Gage.
Yeah.
So, obviously if we can get one of those guys, particularly out of those three that I just said, I would probably want to take Brandon Cooks and a part of me wanted to say Chris Godwin, but he gets hurt a lot. I feel like Brandon Cooks is more durable,
Mm.
and he still has it in him. So yeah, but when it comes to your list, obviously I would want to take OBJ. I mean, he still has the talent, and I feel like, I don't feel like I don't feel like he's a diva as much as people try to blame him for. I just think
Yeah.
he's just
Very
a player
passionate.
that knows what he's worth, and he's very passionate
Yeah.
about the game, and he won't he won't let nobody, just roll over him and treat him like he's some type of ordinary receiver. He's definitely proven. So definitely I would want OBJ.
I think maybe at first, we can talk about like diva talk, but just because he got to stardom very quick with that one catch that he made versus the Cowboys in
Yeah.
2014. So, and then he was on the cover of Madden next year, and then like he just became like you didn't hear about him up until the catch. At least for me, for an average football fan at the time. I'm more of an advent, like I'm more of a involved football fan now, but at the time I was kind of more of an average football fan.
Hmm.
Because I mean the Ravens were on up and down trend at the time. But
Yeah.
as a that catch is what made him at the time. But I think he's had more great catches ever since. And then even going back to going into the next year, 2015, like you remember the Josh Norman OBJ beef that they had. It
Yeah.
was that was crazy. When that first happened, that was crazy. And but I think that he's really matured over time. Because remember when all the drama was coming out with Baker Mayfield, OBJ, and the Browns, who was talking? His dad, not him. He wasn't saying nothing. He just
Hmm.
got traded to the Rams, balled out. Because for me, I didn't like him just because he was on the Browns and because of the person that he was. And I thought he was the diva, but he gets traded to the Rams. You don't hear much about him. He balls out. And if he plays that Super Bowl, let's be real, the Bengals are not getting close to like how they were in that game. Let's be real, because they have what they have. Him. They had Cup. So they had a lot of good receivers in that team. That who's going to cover him? Eli Apple.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you
and
know,
and
it,
also I felt like when OBJ got taken out the game, just
it
the
was different.
whole, yeah, just the whole like energy of the team just flatlined.
Yep.
So, like I said, I feel like that's also a thing about OBJ. He brings energy to teams.
Yeah.
I feel like, he could be very liked in the locker room. I feel like he just injects a sort of just energy into the team. I mean, he's always dancing, he's always smiling.
Right.
He
he
really is
married the
having a great,
the net no one time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he's always in great spirits when it comes to the game. So, like I said, man, I would really love the Ravens get OBJ. It probably won't happen, but I would really like that. So yeah.
Yep. Um, I would agree with what you said. Obviously we don't have much time left. So we have to wrap this up after this. What I'm gonna say. But for the trade candidates, D Hop, Brandon Cooks, Mike Evans, Cooper Cup. Obviously Mike Evans and Cooper Cup, I put a question mark next to them just because who knows what they're going to do? Are they going to build around Cooper Cup and with the Rams? Are they going to build around Mike Evans, who is in his 30s, I believe now, and with the Bucks? Like, what are they going to do here? Because I mean, I don't even know if they restructured his contract yet. But for trade candidates, obviously, like you said, Brandon Cooks would be a reliable option. Good hands. I don't know about speed, but because I didn't watch the Texans very much. But who did really? I mean, they had like 2 wins. But for the free agent wide receivers, I agree. I'd want OBJ, a guy
Hmm.
who I mean, his route running capabilities are nasty. He's a guy who he is fast. Even with the surgery, he's fast. He has great hands. He has great route running, ability. He was Justin Jefferson before Justin Jefferson was in the NFL. Let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way like, he's just a monster,
Hmm.
and he plays style of football like how the wide receivers play now. Fancy route running, go get
Hmm.
it guy, speed guy. If you throw a slant to him and there's no safety back there, he's gone. Like think about the guys now like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and you
Right.
can even add on more if you want. I can't
And
think of any on the top of my head.
and also I just want to say, you talking about throwing him a slant and he's gone. That reminds me of the Ravens versus Giants game in 2016. They threw him about two slants and he took it to the house. I remember
Yep.
Wilder was chasing him. He just could not
What?
catch. What Weddle, yeah. I said Waddle. Weddle was chasing him and he just could not catch him. I mean, he just made it look so easy. So yeah.
Right, exactly. So I mean, like he was kind of a wide receiver beyond his time, at the time,
Hmm.
before we had the Justin Jeffersons, Jamar Chases, they even Stephon Diggs, if you really think about it,
Hmm.
of the world, So I would want an OBJ. With the workout videos that came out, he definitely still looks healthy.
Hmm.
He definitely looks good still, like great, I should say. So, and
Hmm.
I think he could be a good option if Lamar is still
And
here.
and just to say, obviously we did mention D Hop too. I remember you did mention D Hop. Obviously, we would want D Hop, but I saw some things might maybe linking him a little bit closer to the Cowboys, so maybe
Yeah,
his availability might start to, dwindle down a little bit. So, I mean, in my head, in terms of top guys still available free agency, OBJ, like how we said, and also
yeah,
D Hop. I mean, who wouldn't want D Hop?
yep.
I would definitely sure want to see him with Lamar. So yeah.
I wouldn't be mad with a OBJ, Brandon Cooks, and then
Or
drafting a
D Hop,
receiver,
yeah. Yeah, or D Hop, yeah.
and then like maybe. But I mean, if we get OBJ and you pair him up with Rashad Bateman, that's kind of your wide receiver 1, 2, and then Brandon Cooks as your wide receiver 3. You may not draft a receiver because he might be shoved down the depth chart, but you might at the same time because you might use him more because OBJ is getting up there in age. I think he's in his
Mm-hmm.
30s now. I think next year will be his, I believe his 10th year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we got to worry about that as well. And if he does get re-injured, you may want to draft JSN or Zay Flowers or Quentin Johnston or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be mad at an OBJ Brandon Cooks, pairing and maybe draft a receiver as well. And then you have Rashad Bateman in there. And I mean, you most likely are not going to pay Rashad Bateman. So it'd be probably best to get like a
Yeah.
JSN, like I said in the draft. But
Yeah.
even a DJ Chark, as well. But like I wouldn't be mad at the DJ Chark D Hop, Like I mean, I think all of these combinations you can work with, even like Juju and D Hop, OBJ and Brandon Cooks, Mike Evans and McCole Hartman. We didn't even talk about McCole Hartman. McCole Hartman's another one of those fast guys, but like I think they're quality receivers. They're not amazing. But I mean, some of them are amazing. The OBJ I think is amazing. D Hop is amazing. Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp are amazing. So I think that, any one of these pairings, if we get at least 2 of these guys, maybe even one, and then build around that, I think it's definitely better. The best receiving
Well,
core the market could possibly have. So that's really all we have time for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Birds of Prey Sports Talk. Do you have any last words?
no.
All right. Well, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Peace.